Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to 15 Good Minutes. It's your guy, Coach B. And as always, I am here with the A-team. JR, what's happening, buddy?
All is good, man. Life is good.
Freddie, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. How about you?
I can't complain. It's not bad. I want to actually start off, though, with kind of a response to Freddie's question of the week last week, which was basically what's wrong with the Lakers and who to blame. I think now that's overcome by events, or OBE in my world, because, you know, they fired the coach. So in my opinion, you know, you two know how I feel about it. I think it's wrong to blame the coach, but that's the way that the nature of the business. They wasted very little time in doing that. Any thoughts on the Lakers before we talk about the playoff?
They should have got rid of the assistant coach too. LeBron. Nah, I'm only playing.
You know, you're playing GR, but I'm dead serious. They should get rid of LeBron. They should. He's the cause of that. I mean, just 2 years ago, they won a championship with that same coach.
I like LeBron. I think a couple things. One, if he's if as the oldest, if he's the best guy on your team, you got a problem all year long. And secondly, he dismantled that championship team, Freddie. So yep. At a minimum, I would have thought you kind of keep what's working for you while it's working for you. But, you know, it's a bad state of affairs that Coach Vogel is the guy that gets booted. Like, to your point, like he did something wrong. He can't finish that play for you. He can't play defense for you, right? He can't do those things. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Having said that, there are a lot of teams in the playoffs. I'll say it that way.
Too many.
The playoffs, JR, the playoffs are going for 2 months. Any thoughts on the length of the playoff or the number of teams that are in?
Well, my problem is the number of teams that are in. Okay. I think you dilute the championship by trying to just throw everybody in. On the other hand, I understand if you bring these other markets, there's more money's coming. You know what I'm saying?
Freddie, you think it's too many teams or the playoffs are too long? Would you change anything with the current format?
I think isn't the format, the amount of teams that actually make it in the playoffs, isn't that still the same? Or they just added like from 7 to 10, you know, the last two actually get in. Or
it's 20
teams are the same, but you're right. They did the play-in thing to extend it to a lot to help pick those last couple of teams.
Right.
Yeah, the number's the same.
Right. So you got to look at those last 4 bottom feeders that we're talking about. How many games are they really distant from one another in the standings? So I think it kind of adds to that NCAA tournament kind of feel to where, you know, you could be one and done.
In the East, do you expect the top 4, Miami, Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia? Do anything about any of those 4? And do you think, to your point, any of those bottom feeders are going to take any of those top 4 out?
If Brooklyn gets past Cleveland, and I think Brooklyn can go and do something. I don't know if they can beat Miami.
To your point, GR, I think Brooklyn, as long as, you know, KD's healthy and Kyrie's good to go, I say Brooklyn could take any of the top 4 teams. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I would expect it to, in the finals, to probably be Brooklyn and probably Milwaukee. Jason Tatum is slowly becoming one of my favorite players in the NBA. He's slowly becoming.
He's already there for me, buddy. So I see where you're going.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can carry them over 2 months, right? I think he is good. Finishing up on the East before we dive into the West, I don't know. For me, my sleeper is Philadelphia, you know. I honestly think that Joel is my MVP this year. I just like the way those guys play. I can never count Milwaukee out. I don't think Boston can sustain it to you know, I do like them. And Miami's just surprising me. They really are. I mean, you can't ignore that 1 seed. It's very well earned. I don't think any of the Eastern Conference bottom feeders will do anything to change those 4. Your top 4 in the West: Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, Dallas. Will any of the bottom feeders in the West, in your opinion, have a shot at any of the 4 of them? And who do you like early on? I'm not asking for your final, but early on, who do you like from them top 4?
Golden State or Phoenix, assuming that Steph is healthy. And I don't think any of the bottom feeder teams in the West can mess with those guys at the top in the West.
JR, your outlook on the West?
Phoenix. And not because of their 1 seed, but they've been playing good ball.
You know, to be honest with you, they had an opportunity to win last year and didn't. I don't know if they get better. They're an X factor for me. And I'm, I think anything can happen. For me, I tell you, I got a sleeper out there in the West. Freddie knows who it is. It's Dallas. I'm telling you, keep your eye on them Mavs, buddy. Although my team is Golden State, I don't think that Steph is healthy. I don't think the chemistry. I really like the way Poole's been playing. Dude's been playing lights out, to be fair with you. Any of you guys see Memphis getting to a Western Conference Finals? Just curious?
No.
Okay, so they're just fun to you too.
It sounds good and what the year Jaws had, but they're missing something.
I tell you though, his future is very, he's a shooting star. That dude's gonna be something.
Definitely.
I want to pivot a little bit because I know that you guys are both gamers. So I want to start with you, JR. What brought you into gaming and what do you get out of it?
Our gaming goes back to the Atari days, so remember the old league we used to have. So I'm dating myself, but it's just what brought me into it was I had kids, and I would be playing with my son and I used to smash him. And now he kicks my behind in everything we play. And believe me, he don't have no respect.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation, PS4 right now.
Freddie, you're a gamer. Have you always been a gamer? What brought you into it? And, why do you game today?
Seeing, the older friends and cousins as a kid play the Atari. Then you go to the Nintendo. I remember I had the Nintendo. I had the Zelda with the gold, Zelda was one of the hardest games I've ever played. And so then you transition to Nintendo 64, then you go Sega Dreamcast, Sega Genesis, or whatever. And so then you go to Xbox, then you get the PlayStation, then PlayStation 2, 3. Now I'm on PlayStation 5. And I think just the overall evolution of the game system and the graphics. And then I think when they added in, you can now play a friend, you can play, I'm in Dallas and I can play my friends in Atlanta, and we talking to each other, or you can play random people wherever over the country, and then you beat them down and you talking smack to them.
When my son was playing, I was not. I never really got into it at all until maybe 2016 when I hit up JR, Johnny, and a couple other people. To Freddie's point, because I realized that you could play against your friends and people various games. And we started off playing Call of Duty and I was hooked. They had a little spinoff thing with zombies. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't very good, but I found that it was whether or not I knew it at the time, I was teaching myself something almost like learning a new language. So if you hadn't done it before, and I hadn't, having to learn the controller was mastering a skill set, because it's almost like typing. Like I'm a good typist, but with the controller, I would look down and then I was dead. I was like, what happened? Because you gotta look now. I don't care. L1, R2, R3. I'm on it. You know what I mean? Because I'm a PlayStation and I've played enough. So I just enjoyed the camaraderie of playing with friends. So JR, with that, do you have a particular gaming setup that you use? There when you locking in to play PlayStation, what's it like for you?
It's pretty simple. I just sit in my living room and go-to game, maybe MLB, really getting used to it, even though, I'm working on hitting and stuff. But that's it. I don't have anything special. I have it, my office areas where it was set up at one time, but it was too high where I had my stuff, my television. So I just put it back in the living room where I can chill until I, fix this the way I want it to be. And then I'll be good to go.
When you play, staying with you, JR, how long do you play? Average session?
Like earlier this evening, I was practicing. So I knew I had to do something. So I only, but most times if I play in the evening time, we're going to go to 1, maybe 2 o'clock when we're playing, as because we play online. So, generally, if I know I have to go to work the next day, I have to cut a little early. So weekends is when I can really do my thing. So.
I got you. So Freddie, what is your gaming setup? Where do you go to play, and how do you lock in and get your mind right to play?
I play in my man cave. Just moving into the new house, I'm still trying to get everything situated, got to get the chords hitting and everything. But in my man cave, on the PS5, I have, the Madden. I kind of do it around whatever my schedule is. If I have something to do, if I have to go to work, if I have, to go out to the store. So it is real, or if there's a game or a team that's playing, I kind of do it around, my schedule. I will go and get on it, and I pretty much play, my friends on online. When I get on the sticks, once I know what I'm doing, you better come with it, because if I get a lead, I'm gonna let you have it.
I'm linear, and what I mean by linear is, I function better in a circumstance that's dedicated to that particular thing. So, for example, when I want to watch a movie at home, I go to one particular room to watch that movie because it puts me in a movie frame of mind. Well, the same thing I do with gaming. Right? I have an area of the man cave that I normally use for watching sports. And I sit in a recliner to do that, where I have a laptop on one side, an iPad on another, and I'm checking facts while I'm watching the game. But when I go to game, I take a gaming chair and I put it right in the middle of the room in that same area. And I'm playing on a 65-inch LED, and it's more realistic to me. So I have a headset. I finally broke down, because me and JR was using the old PlayStation headsets, and eventually that thing just crapped the hell out. So I went and bought a JBL that was legitimate. So I used the JBL headset only when I'm playing in a team mode. If I'm not playing in team mode, I just put the 5-to-1 surround sound on like I'm watching a movie, and it's everywhere. And it puts me in a gaming frame of mind. I play the stuff that I enjoy, sports games, right? A couple other things. And I like playing against people that I know. So we make some home leagues. Like I'm in a league with JR and some other people. We're going to try to get Freddie into MLB, the show 22, get him into some baseball stuff. We're starting a league with that. But when I'm in that area, it's easier for me to game. For you, those of you that are listening and watching, if you guys are into gaming, drop us a line. Let us know what you play, and if you're old like us, or you're not as old, uber competitive as some are, let us know. We'll gladly sync up with you. But we would love to see what you guys are doing in the gaming front. It really is a lot of fun.
Once I know what I'm doing, I'm ultra competitive. Once I know what I'm doing.
Okay. So we get that mercy rule on you too.
I have.
Tell me what you're watching right now. When you guys are watching entertainment, whether it's TV or movie, Freddie, what are you watching right now?
I'm watching the Power series. The one this is Force, which to me is not very good. It's a bunch of supporting actors and starring roles, and that's my opinion. It's okay, but those guys aren't. It ain't like, if you're familiar with Power, Ghost. That's my dude. I'm still mad at Tariq, even though it's fictitious. Tariq got me hot. If I saw him in the streets, I'd probably want to lay hands on him.
I'm catching up on my old Gunsmoke. I'm a Roku guy, so I have Sling and Roku, and they give you a chance to watch all of these old Westerns. I like Westerns. And so I watch Gunsmoke, Rifleman, Big Valley, those kind of things. And when you watch a program that you've seen before years ago, how it just brings you back to that place.
To your point, JR, some of the things you watch later in life. When I was a kid, Big Valley was my jam. When I became an adult, I didn't like it so much because I thought it spoke to just white privilege.
White people, yeah.
And it's like, I never saw that when I was watching it, but everything that I saw as an adult, I'm like, whoa, look at how that's being presented. So, I don't know. And it's I did enjoy it when I watched it as a kid. I really did, but when I tried to look at it a few years ago, it wasn't like it was overt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
It was just something that stood out to me. Like, where's the rest of
early television? You did whenever you seen a black person or a person of color in one of those movies, he was either a prisoner, a slave, a cook, and it was a glimpse.
I can tell you right now, I've gone back to, I've been watching a lot of old stuff. I finished the entire series of Frasier. Love that show. I followed that up with an old show called Wings. And right now I'm watching Hill Street Blues.
Oh, okay.
And JR, we were in England at the time when Hill Street Blues came out. That was the first drama that touched me emotionally because it wasn't a neat ending every episode.
Yeah.
People would die like real happens with real law enforcement. I love that show. And this is the first time I've looked at it since the 80s when we were in England. So I'm enjoying that. And I'm a big Star Trek fan. So I've got some Star Trek Discovery queued up for the modern era, but I just like watching some of those old shows. And right now I'm in season 1 of Hill Street Blues, and it's a blast. No, we went a little bit long today, but I thought we had some really good content. The question of the week that I want to close out with, though, is baseball related. There's this new thing called PitchCon, and I'd like to know, do you, audience, think it's good for baseball? I'm really fascinated with it. So it just passed this week, and it was a program that was written by 2 people who have nothing to do with baseball, who were pissed off with the 2017 scandal of the Houston team that was stealing signs. So now the catcher can wear something on his wrist or on his shin strap that signals the pitch to the pitcher, the second baseman, the shortstop, and the center fielder. And it's programmable. So you can go 1 fastball, 2 curve, 3 slider, but you can program it to say special. And only you guys know what that is. I think it's going to speed up the game. I'm really fascinated with the technology. So the question of the week, are you a fan of PitchCon? And do you think it's going to change baseball? With that, as always, we thank you guys for rocking with us. We really do appreciate the amount of time that you spend checking us out. We are introducing some new things to the program, thanks to some feedback we're getting from you guys. If you haven't already, please follow us here on YouTube at 15 Good Minutes and Twitter also at 15 Good Minutes. Gentlemen, anything before we break?
Have a great week.
All right. Peace.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.